All right, y'all, let's do some Karplus-Strong synthesis in pure data. Very briefly, Karplus-Strong is a synthesis technique developed by Alexander Strong and Kevin Karplus. And usually we categorize this as a type of physical modeling synthesis because of the argument that it models a vibrating string in how it works, but we'll get back to that later. Arguably, this is a kind of subtractive synthesis because we're using the resonant properties of a filter, specifically a comb filter. And actually, a while back, I did a quick no-talking patch from scratch video about building a comb filter, and you'll see this is very, very similar in its construction. So we're just going to build a very, very simple Karplus-Strong synth, and then talk about some ideas about how you might expand on this. The general idea of how this works is we have a very, very short delay. And when I say very, very short, I mean that the taps of the delay are within the audio rate. So what we do is we put a noise burst through this delay and then feed it back into itself. Before we feed it back into itself, we're going to put it through a low-pass filter as well. And so each time through this feedback loop simulates a vibration of the string. Now, strings don't vibrate forever, so in our system, we won't feed back the full signal, we'll attenuate it a little bit, and then of course the low-pass filter will cause the high frequencies to decay faster than the lows. That said, now let's build it to help show these ideas. So the first thing you need is something to excite the system, the theoretical string. So let's start with just some white noise. Command 1, noise, tilde. You know, if I were to just do command 1 times tilde 0.1, and then command 1, DAC, tilde. Boom, there's some noise. All right, now, we don't want our noise constantly going because we're just using this to excite our signal. So in order to create something that's pulsed, let's make a little metro construct here. Command T, there's my toggle. Command 1, metro. It doesn't really matter. Let's do 125, just something that's pretty quick. Shift Command B for our button. And then let's do this with a line. And so we're just going to have something that's a simple AD envelope. Command 2 for a message. Go to the number 1 over 5 seconds. Command 1, line, tilde, and then. Now, each time this bangs, it goes to 1 over 5 milliseconds. Now, if we want that to ever turn off, we need the other half of this. Command 1, pipe, which will delay the bang. Command 2 for another message. We want it to go back to 0 over another 5 milliseconds. And we can adjust these attack and release times later. And multiplying that by our noise. And so, start our metro. Right. Bang. Nice short impulses. I suppose I could just turn off the metro rather than do that. Let's slow that down a hair. All right. Very, very short noise. Okay, that's a good start. Now we need this noise to go into our delay. So actually, we don't need this DAC here. Instead, Command 1, let's do a del right to a delay buffer. I'm just going to call it del buff. I'm going to call it carp. The reason I'm calling it carp here instead, I changed my mind from del buff, is del buff is just sort of what I call all my delay buffers. And so if I wanted to make a delay effect later, calling this carp means that it's labeled specifically for the Karplus-Strong. Again, you can name it whatever you want. You just need to remember that this is the name of your buffer. And so when we del read, we want to del read from the same carp. This number here, 100 milliseconds, the length of our delay is actually going to be way, way shorter than this, 100 milliseconds. But for now, just we'll have 100 milliseconds in the buffer. We could probably make that way shorter later. Okay, so we're going to read from this buffer, and then we need it to go to the output. 1 DAC tilde. Boom. So, I mean, I could run this now. Okay, so that's not terribly interesting. All we've done is we've taken our noise and we've delayed it. But so now comes the interesting part. everything about this is going to be created through its feedback. So let's take our del read and we'll go command 1, send with a tilde, FB for feedback. Okay, and so then this friend is going to need a receive, I before E except after C, and then this feedback needs to go back into the delay. Now, before I run that in there, that would cause me some bad dreams, because right now I'm just sending everything back in. And so what's important about this feedback is that we have an ability to control how much of the feedback we're sending in. And so that's actually going to be our resonance. So I can create a number here, and then times tilde. Let's do this to start with. This number is going to control the resonance here. And this is going to be the amount that we throw to the feedback. Just for fun, Shift Command J for a horizontal slider. These will go from 0 to 127, and then Command 1, let's divide by 127, make. And so now I have a resonance slider. We don't really want it to go up to 1, but that's okay. Comment resonance. This is what's getting read and fed back. All right, let's give this a shot. Turn my resonance down, start the metro. Highly embarrassing, but the reason this isn't doing anything is because I haven't plugged in my receive yet. Bink. All right, it's a delay with feedback. Doesn't sound like synthesis yet, and that's because our delay time is 100 milliseconds. So now here's the trick of it all into making it sound like pitches. Shift Command J for a slider. This will be our pitch slider. Command 3 for a number so we can see what's coming out of that. Command 1, M2F, MIDI to frequency. Command 3, just so we can see that number. All right. Bank, pitch. So now I have a slider. This is the MIDI number here, right? My sliders go from 0 to 127, so those are all MIDI notes anyway. This converts it to a frequency. But then we need to convert this frequency into a delay time. So remember, our frequency is in hertz, right? The unit for this here is hertz. And the unit I want here is milliseconds. So how do I convert hertz to milliseconds? Hertz is 1 over a second, right? The number of times something happens in seconds. And so if we do the math of that, we know that, okay, we're going to need to do division, Command 1, divide. Let's do a Command 3 to show the number when it comes out. But I'm going to have to do something slightly tricky here. I'm going to Command 2 for a message, 1000. Since there are 1000 milliseconds in a second, I can divide hertz, 1 over seconds, by 1000 in order to convert this into milliseconds. Let's do it and check it out. So again, this isn't sending a number right now. It's just banging out that 1000, which is going to trigger this division. And then what are we dividing by? We're dividing by that number. So now watch if I change the slider. As I slide higher, this number gets lower, right? And as I slide lower, that number gets higher, which makes sense because the higher frequency, the lower the number of milliseconds of the period. All right, let's check it out. That's definitely still my clicking. Turn this up. Ah, now there's some pitches up there. As I turn up the resonance, it rings out more because it's more feedback. All right. That's our Karplus-Strong. We're going to do one more thing. We haven't added the filter, but I want you to notice something about the pitches as I adjust them. When I go really low there, we start to lose the effect of it being a pitch. Piano note number 7, 12 hertz, that's actually below the audio range, right? Our hearing is 20 to 20,000 hertz. So we've lost that being a pitch, it just become a delay. Now listen to what happens when I get too high. Up here, all those notes sound the same, right? We're not changing pitch anymore after about... There we go, 74 there. I'm not 100% sure about why that happens, but I think it's got something to do with these sends and the feedback, right? Any digital system can't do feedback 100% in real time because that would require infinite processing power. I've mentioned that before. I don't really want to get into too much here. And so it needs a little bit of a delay in order to process that. I believe the little bit of the delay created by the send and the receive creates a limit to how fast we can actually delay the signal with the delay itself. Again, that said, I'm not completely sure. If you have a better idea of what's going on there, then put in the comments, but it doesn't stress me out. It just helps me understand what the actual range of this can be. So the only thing we have left to do here is super easy. Let's add our dampening. And so that needs to be LOP, low pass filter. Let's set its default to be 2000, but that doesn't honestly matter because we're going to control it in real time. There's my resonance, right? And that's what's getting fed back. I need to put that signal into the low pass filter. And then let's do another Shift Command J, horizontal slider, Command 3 for a number to see it, Command 1, MIDI to frequency, Command 3, just so we can see that frequency. And so now, boom, it's just a frequency slider based on pitch. Command 5, this is our damping. Okay, start it up. Oh man, that sounds way better. Pretty cool, huh? Again, let's follow through. Our noise is plucking the string. It goes through an envelope here, gets put into our delay buffer. We send that right out. Again, it's going to be delayed, 5 milliseconds, but that gets sent right out to the audio. That's what we're listening to. And then that also goes through a low pass filter, dampening it. And then it goes to the feedback here. And the amount that's fed back is controlled by this resonance. This up here is controlling the speed of the delay. And again, it's converting a pitch into this frequency. Again, this is audio rate. And then we delay at that audio rate to create that vibration. Let me do one more thing. Let's change these delays. So let's go instead to 1 over 50 milliseconds. And then let's wait there for 30 milliseconds and delay over 30. And let's slow down our metro accordingly. And so let's listen to this. Now it's not a plucked sound. We've sort of got almost this spiccato sound, if you're a string player. All right, let's go even further. We could maybe make a little bit of an arco sound here. It's a little bit hard. What if we listen to it, not here, but after we've done the filtering, so that way we're filtering that noise before we ever listen to it. Okay, almost there. Let's put this through low pass at, I don't know, relatively low pass. Again, it's noise. This is a one-pole low pass. Too much damping. All right, we're not going to replace any of our sampled string orchestra libraries with that, but just interesting ideas of what you can explore next. So that's about it. What else could you do? Where could you go from here? Instead of white noise, you could try different colors of noise. By me doing this low pass, I've sort of made this Brownian noise. We can go back to our shorter noise here. 5. I kind of like that 30. Let's make our pipe short though. 10. Right, significant difference there and how we're exciting it. All right, let's just make something that'll randomize our pitches here. We can also make it randomize our resonance and randomize our dampening. I know my wiring here is not the cleanest. Boop. That's too wide a range for my resonance, right? That's why it's sounding all clicky there. Let's make that a random 20, and we'll put it at the very top of the range, so like at 100. Oops, that was the damping. Ha 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 ha. Switch them. Random 20, 100. That's why you should always be clean about your patching. Bring back that wide range for the dampening. Again, experiment with some different noise types, experiment with different envelopes, but it's a great sound and a really simple way to engage with physical modeling synthesis. I'm going to leave it there for today. Let me know what you come up with.